Hey guys, so just been reading through like the help discussion forum for Airline Manager Tycoon, and seems like people still have like lots of questions about how to set up a route and how to buy a plane, what plane they should buy, and how to set prices and how to manage demand and all that stuff. So I just thought I'd make a video of like setting up a brand new route on my airline, just so I could walk maybe some of the beginners out there through the process. So here we go. So here's my network as it is. I have a hub in Los Angeles, and it's running kind of all over the world. But in my last video, I talked about how I try to set all my routes so they are as close as possible to 24 hours and no more than 24-hour round trip length. And if you want to learn more about that, go watch the other video. But basically 24-hour routes are like the most profitable routes, the most efficient routes, and they're going to be what allow you to sort of grow your airline the fastest and most efficiently. So you might be asking, well, is there a better way to like find the 24-hour airports without having to go through like every country, you know, one by one? And the answer is there is, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But let's just really quickly make a hop over to an internet browser, and I can show you a tool for doing that. So I'm going to switch over to Chrome here, and if you just type in the word search, draw radius. Oh, why is my, okay, we'll fix that. Draw radius on map. You should find this website called Free Map Tools, which is the one I use. And it's pretty simple to use. It's based on Google Maps. There's just a real simple interface here. There's the map and the where you need to go look to actually find where to draw the radius is down here below in options. So what I'll tell you is that if you're using the A380, which is what I recommend, the Airbus 380, it's the largest plane in the game, largest passenger plane in the world, really. You're gonna be able to fly between, call it like 9,600 and 9,900-ish kilometers for a 24-hour round trip. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw both radiuses so we can kind of get a band, and then that'll show us where, roughly where in the world we can fly to. So I'm gonna start out by drawing the smaller radius first, 9,600 kilometers. And I'm gonna put it around Los Angeles. Just put it around Los Angeles International Airport. I'm going to change the color for this first circle to white. You don't have to do this, but I think it just makes it easier to see. And then just hit draw radius. And if I go back up to the map, you can see like there's that nice little sine wave area that's centered around LAX. Okay, cool. So we're going to draw a second circle. I'm going to give it a little extra padding, like 9950 is probably about right. And then we'll change the color to green for the fill color and draw a radius again. And there you see it. There's a nice little double shaded region. And basically, if I zoom in here, we're looking at this sort of sweet spot band between the two radiuses, and that's kind of what we're looking for. So as you can see, Buenos Aires falls nicely into that band, and if I go up to Europe and Africa, like Marrakesh, Casablanca, Barcelona, Milan, Munich, Vienna, Warsaw, Minsk, Moscow, and then you've kind of got like the great expanse of Russia, Ulaanbaatar, a good chunk of the Korean peninsula, South Korea, and part of Japan. And then it kind of trails off, like we miss a lot of the South Pacific, unfortunately, from LA. That's just the way the world is. So I already know that I have a bunch of these routes set up, but I know that one that I'm missing or I don't have yet is actually Marrakesh, which is a lovely city. If you've never been there, you should check it out. It's a nice city. So let's go set up Marrakesh. All right, we're going to go back to the game app and dismiss that. All right, so To go find, to set up the network, set up the route, you do push on your network box and do route creation. Select which hub you're going. I only have one hub, obviously. And then we're going to Africa. So we're going to select Africa. Going to scroll over to Morocco. Here we are. And kind of a neat tool. So if you, on the left side, you've got these sort dialog boxes. So if I sort first by distance, distance plus means longest distance first. And then if you push the reference aircraft, so I don't, I think I got these aircraft as gifts. I don't use any of these aircraft other than the A380 for reasons I explained in my other video. But pick the A380 and it will show you, the round trip time, which is obviously, kind of convenient. So there's all these airports in Morocco. I believe by selecting the A380, it automatically screens out all the airports with runways that are too short. So you can see these are all like category 8 or larger. I think the A380 is a category 8 airplane. You got Ouarzazate, Fez, and here's Marrakesh. Marrakesh turns out to be 23 hours and 45 minutes, which is a little shorter than what we're looking for, but that's okay. 15 minutes I can live with, but if it's like 22 hours, then you're starting to mess around with a lot of idle time for your airplanes. I mean, I could go to Ouarzazate. Let's see. If you want to figure out what the demand is, you audit it before you buy it. And actually, Ouarzazate has like pretty decent economy demand. I mean, it's like almost no first class demand, but like that amount of economy demand is almost enough to like warrant setting up an A380 on that route. So maybe I might come back to that one later in the game after I've done some more research to increase demand. But I'm going to go to Marrakesh. I just audited this route before I made this video, so we should have a pretty good audit. And I can audit again anyway. Let's audit again. And yeah, Marrakesh has like pretty robust demand. I mean, 1,600 economy passengers. That's honestly almost enough to fill up an entire A380 with just economy customers. A little less than what we need. I think the A380 could carry like 840 economy only configuration, but so that would mean that we would need like 1,680 or 1,700-ish passengers, so not quite there. But that's okay. We're gonna configure this to have enough seating for a little bit of business and first as well. I do agree with one of the other YouTubers out there that economy is a much better seating arrangement. You get more yield per equivalent seat with economy. It's just more dollars per passenger. So every business class seat basically needs you to give up 2 economy seats, and every first class seat needs you to give up like 4 economy seats. So and most routes, you're not going to get like 4 times as much revenue for a first class ticket as you would for an economy ticket. So it's really like you're better off trying to like optimize for as many economy seats as possible. But you can see here, it looks like we have plenty enough to do to buy this route. So I'm going to buy this route now. Let's try to remember these numbers. So 1,611 economy and 281 business, 86 first, and 21 tons of cargo. I'm writing it down, but I'll come back to it later. So I'm going to purchase this now. You'll notice like this is a $130 million purchase. So, starting to get kind of expensive to buy these airports as my subsidy percentage is going down. So we'll buy this for $130 million. And once I do that, it'll ask me if I want to buy an aircraft, but look at my cash balance. I only have $295 million. So like I can't actually buy an A380 right now. So we're gonna have to go borrow some money, and that's cool. And I can walk you through like some of the dynamics and game mechanics on borrowing money. So I'm gonna close this dialog and go to finances. So looks like I need about $108 million to have enough money to buy the A380. That's fine. We'll just go visit the bank, and I've been borrowing some money from the bank, so don't have a ton of capacity, but I have enough over here at the mini bank. So let's go to mini bank. Now, to do a loan on financial markets, they do ask you what your estimated structural profit is going to be. Now, you can see my current structural profit is $39 million. The catch is I think that's being sort of inflated by, I got a tax credit thing from travel cards. And so I think it's a little overstated, and my tax credit will expire before the evaluation period expires. So you get basically like 1 week before they measure your structural profit again and compare it to where you've been. So just looking at my history, structural profit history, I was actually more like 34, almost $35 million range. And so that's probably a more realistic benchmark to price off of. So I'm going to keep that number in my head, $34 million. And let's go back to the bank and borrow. Now, one of the things you should know about the game mechanics is that when they talk about interest rate in this game, it's kind of a weird structure. They're not really calculating interest rate in the way that like the financial markets typically actually charge interest. What it does is it takes the amount of money that you want to borrow. Let's say we want to borrow 100. Let's do 115 million just to have a little margin. And then if I do an estimate here, what it's doing here is it's taking that weekly rate. I guess it's saying 0.6% right now, calculating the finance charge, which is basically just the requested amount times the weekly rate. And then if you, so that gets you $736,000. And if you add the requested amount together with the finance charge, that's the total cost of the loan. And then they just divide by the number of weeks to get to your weekly payment. So it's kind of this weird concept, and I don't need to get like quite into the way like finance really works. But what I'm trying to tell you is like the percentage will change if you change to a longer loan. So if you want to go for like 25, instead of 25-week loan, you do like a 40-week loan. Because you're dividing into more payments, your weekly payment goes down. And that's actually a good thing in this game, right? Because when you calculate structural profit in the game, they're deducting your weekly payments from your flight profit. So smaller like loan costs means higher structural profit. So the way I see it, there's no reason why you shouldn't just take the longest loan possible every time. So we're going to do that. I think, 40 weeks. Now, remember I said I think there was about almost $35 million of structural profit, and they want you to guess like where you're going to be in a week. And we're buying a new route, and I think it's going to be about $3 million of profit from that route. So let's just say 37 million estimate. And okay, so $115 million. You see the interest rate went up, and the finance charge went up, but actually because we're borrowing over a longer period of time, the weekly payment went down just a little bit. So it's only going to be a $3 million weekly payment, which is like way less than I expect to make weekly on this route. So like I said, I think I'll make, call it $3 million or more per day. And so 3 times 7, 21 million, less 3, we're still clearing like $18 million of profit after finance cost. Okay, so I'm just going to confirm this loan. We don't want to wait around an hour for this to clear since we're making a video, so I'm just going to sign the contract. I'm willing to use some coins for you guys. Your loans are now credited. Cool. So now I have $410 million, and that should be enough to go buy an Airbus 380. So let's go to aircraft purchase. We want to buy. I think buying is way better than leasing, by the way. So I can't remember where, but like somebody said that like leasing is great, but it's really actually not. So when you lease an airplane, one, you don't get to configure the airplane. You can't do cargo on it. So that's 2 negatives, and you can't like optimize your seating configuration to the route. And then 2, like you get a lease. Leasing an A380 costs you like $10 million a month in rental payments, and that's like ad into infinity. Like it never goes away until you return the aircraft, and then you don't have the aircraft anymore. But when you buy the aircraft, you can borrow money. You could borrow $300 million or $400 million to buy the airplane. As long as you're making more money than your weekly loan payment, eventually you'll pay down that loan and you'll own the aircraft, free and clear. Probably can't borrow all 400 million and do better than what it would cost, how much profit you'll make. Actually, I haven't done that calculation recently. I may have done it at one point, but anyway, you can borrow a little bit of it, and then once you pay off the loan, like every time you pay off the loan, your structural profit is going to go up, once you eliminate those weekly payments. So in my opinion, buying the airplane is way better than leasing. So when you start out the game initially and you can't buy the 380, obviously I think it's better in that case to just lease in the very beginning stages of the game until you've accumulated enough R&D to actually buy the A380 outright. And then at that point, you can just start switching to buying the airplanes and retiring the leases to replace the leased airplanes with owned airplanes. That's what I would recommend anyway. Okay, so we're gonna buy an airplane. We're gonna buy a long haul A380. You can basically just ignore all these other airplanes because the A380 is just better suited to this game. And then remember, we had about 1,600 demand on the route that we're going. We're going to Marrakesh. So let's set everything else to 0 first, just to make it easy. I don't usually like to go all the way up to the stated demand on the route because I like to have a little bit of room to raise prices to bring demand down to my capacity. You could play around with it and figure out what the best mix is for you, but I just don't have the time to mess around too much with this. You just kind of get to the ballpark range. So we had 1,600 demand for economy. I'm thinking maybe we put, let's put 700 economy passengers in. Let's try that out first, and then the way I do this is if there's if I try to do all business from here, it's saying that I have capacity for 85 business class, but I'm thinking I probably want to just use up half of that capacity for business. So let's do 40, and then put the rest in first. So I max out my first, and you do that. That's actually looking pretty well balanced against the demand we have for business at first. I think for business we had about 280 seats. So we're going to be well below that, and that's actually good because it'll give some room to raise prices more on business. And first class we have 86 demand. So again, we're only going to be meeting about half the market demand, which is good. That's fine. And then there was 21 tons of cargo. Let's see how much room we have for cargo. Oh, 11 tons. That's actually perfect because we're just going to have just a little bit of excess demand for cargo. And then let's see, I'm trying to remember, I can't remember what plane I'm on. I think I'm on 12. Let's just say, let's use lucky number 14 just in case. Okay, so I've named my plane. Everything looks good, 700, 40, 19, 11. Yeah, I think I'm ready to confirm this order. So let's buy an airplane. Confirm. Yes, I want to buy one. Airbus A380. It's on the way, folks. Get to pick my paint job. I use this nifty golden black one on the left here all the time. All right, so I'm not gonna make you guys wait 12 hours. Obviously, I'll use a few more coins again for you guys, just for you to deliver this airplane. And great, we just expanded our fleet. So now we can schedule it. All you got to do is click schedule. There's Marrakesh here. And here's our schedule. So, what I like to do is go ahead and set up the closest flight possible as soon as possible, because that way you just get your airplane to work right away. Get to work, make some money for you. So it's Friday, almost 16:50. So let's set this thing up for 17:30, which is I guess 5:30. All right, and you notice I'll just hit finish and it'll tell me, well, it's doing a weird thing where it's telling me my next flight is 6 days from now. Let's go fix that. Maybe it's just freaking out on me. Sometimes it does that. Marrakesh. Oh, well, that was my fault. I put it on Thursday, not Friday. That's me. Okay, my bad. Okay. Okay, so now we know that my next flight is leaving in 5 minutes, and we're going to get this plane working really quickly. So let's finish out scheduling this thing. And as I've mentioned before, I think the 24-hour route is great because of the simplicity of scheduling. You'll notice that when you use your finger for scheduling, the number you're seeing is like the demand that's remaining for that day that the flight takes off. And it's important that you note it's when the flight takes off, not when it lands, just when it takes off. So there's 318 demand remaining on Saturday because that's the first flight we're scheduling for Saturday. But if I tried to schedule a flight for a Friday, you see these really red negative numbers. That's because I've already taken off once on Friday. So, don't want to schedule 2 flights on the same day, obviously. So I'm just going to set this up to, take off as soon as it lands. And there's no penalty in the game for doing that. Apparently the AM crews are totally fine turning around in like 0 time. Actually, I think they built in like cleaning time and deplaning time and everything into these schedules, but whatever. So you can see I've set up all 7 days, and I've just got a little tiny white space, blank space here on Friday when, I kind of have to just like reset the schedule for the weekend. In some cases, you're going to end up with like a 3-hour block of time or maybe slightly longer 3-hour. And in those cases, I've actually got one route set up. I can maybe find it on here, but I have a Las Vegas route set up just to soak up some of that spare time where I just, send a plane to Las Vegas for the heck of it to soak up a couple hours of otherwise idle time. And that route makes, very little money. It makes, a couple $100,000 a day, but at least it slightly improves the utilization on my planes. And I bought that airport pretty early on in the game, so it didn't cost me very much money. It might have cost me like $40 million to buy the airport. So the schedule looks good, and it's going to give us a nice high utilization rate, probably 98 or 99%, which is good. Plane's going to take off in like 4.5 minutes real time. Great. So now, we bought the plane, we borrowed the money, we bought the plane, we bought the route. We need to, or we scheduled the plane to, but we need to actually like manage the prices. And this is like a part of the game that like probably is confusing for a lot of people because they really don't explain it very well. And I don't think I even explained it very well in the last video I did. So let's take some time to look at the network management function. So you go to network and you tap network management. Pick your hub again, and I talked about it before. Most of my routes have almost 0 demand. That's because I've already optimized all the prices so that that I don't have any excess demand, and I'm basically pricing at the optimal price to just perfectly fill up my airplanes on a daily basis, and maximize the revenue for that route. But here we see RAK, that's Marrakesh. We haven't optimized the prices yet, so we still have some excess demand here, a lot of excess demand, like a lot of economy, quite a bit of business, and a little bit of first. So we're gonna try to deal with that now. So I'm just gonna click into Marrakesh, and this is the prices management screen. So what we're looking at here. So right now, across the top of the screen, you see prices. Those are the current prices that we're offering on this route, and based on those current prices, the demand for economy is 1,718 passengers. That's a lot. And we only have 700 seats on our plane, which round trip, that's 1,400 passengers. So 1,718 minus 1,400 gets us the excess demand of 318, that green number there. Now, to change prices is really simple, actually. You just, select the box, and they're recommending 2,670. I bet we can actually go a little higher than that, and let's just test it out. I'll type in 2,700, and then all you got to do is hit simulation, and I know my simulations are always free. I don't know exactly why, but they're free. If I run that simulation, it's telling me that the new demand, if I raise the prices to 2,700, would be 1,556 passengers, and so we have much less excess demand. So the key here is to set the price that gets you to 0 demand. Now, you could just do this and keep guessing and guessing manually, and that'll take a lot of time. Or if you've got some AM coins, you could just spend 5 AM coins and it'll like calculate it for you. It'll calculate the optimal price for you. And so obviously that's going to cost you some real world money. And if you don't want to do that, it's fine. You're going to have to just guess a bunch of times to get to the right number. But if you hit super simulation and say, do you want to spend 5 AM coins? Sure, well, let's do it. And the computer is going to find the magic solution. And boom, there you go. So it's telling me if we have these prices, we're going to have basically no down. Now see, we have like that -1 here on the left for economy. I don't want that. Let's look. So right now this is telling us we'd get turnover or revenue in economy of 3.899 million. If I just lower the price by $1 and simulate again, okay, now I have excess, excess demand, but notice that my turnover is going to be a little bit higher. I'm actually going to make like $3,000 more money, and 3,000 and then some. So I would rather do that. Don't leave any money on the table. So I lowered my price by 1 from the recommended super simulation price. Everything else looks good. Now I will tell you, first class, there's a little bit more, I guess what economists would call inelasticity of demand, which means that you could actually probably raise the price a little bit higher than this. So let's see, if I do 70 to 70 instead of 70 to 64, let's see what happens. Yeah, still zero demand. See, so what if I go up another $10? Let's simulate that. Still zero demand. If I go up another $5 above that, still zero demand. So there's still like some capacity to raise price here. And there I finally hit the point over. So I'm going to try to triangulate on the optimal price here. Where's it going to be? 86. So there's usually a little bit of wiggle room in first. Usually not the case in business. Let's check business to see if there's any room. Nope, no room in business. They actually did find the crossover point. Okay, look. So now, basically everything is at zero demand. Cargo is at zero demand too, based on 22 tons. We're pricing at about 5,039. Oh no, 486.5. What happens? I'm actually wondering. I'm curious if we price at 5,039, what would happen? Okay, so right now we're making 107,000 per flight. Let's try that. So we only lose a ton, and shoot, I forgot the number. What was it? 107,000. I guess we were better off with that super simulated number. 105,000. What was it? 48.35, something like that. 106, yeah, 38, 40. Anyway, somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm not going to bother trying to get all the way back to 107,000 or whatever it was at, but we're close. So I think those prices look pretty good. Let's see here. We're going to end up with about 4.25, 4.5, almost 4.6, almost 4.7 million. That's a pretty good route. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm these prices. And now when I confirm these prices, I won't be able to change them again for like 24 hours in real life time, but I think this looks pretty good. So let's try it. Confirm. Yep, 24 hours. Okay with that. And a quick way to check to see how profitable this flight is going to be, just click on that flights on this route in the top right here. And it's not showing me anything for today. Obviously nothing will show up for tomorrow or yesterday, but if I click tomorrow, look, yeah, 3.564 million. So that's pretty profitable. That's going to land it in probably my top, 5 or 6 routes or so. So that's going to be a pretty good route. Let's go see. So if I sort by most profitable routes, yeah, it's going to be, probably my fourth most profitable route to just, a modest little city like Marrakesh. So that's setting up a new route and setting it up to be super profitable. Hope this is a helpful video for you guys. Feel free to ask questions in the comments, and happy to try to make another video if you got anything else you need help with.